Pattaya High season is finally here. The crowds are back and the city is starting to pulse. Yet, if you look past the surface noise, something fundamentally feels off. The question that haunts many is this: why are there so many for rent signs hanging on prime real estate in the middle of the biggest party streets on the planet? I'm not sure if this is just some short-lived trend or if something bigger is taking shape. And let me be clear before anything else. I love Thailand and I love Pattaya. That will never change. But even with that in mind, one thing stands out to anyone who spends time here. The demographic shift in Pattaya is undeniable. It is right there in front of us. You look around and the faces have changed. The languages have changed. The vibe has changed. It used to be a sea of sunburned Europeans and loud Americans. Now, it is taking over. Groups of men from the subcontinent wandering up and down, looking but rarely buying. More Indians, fewer Westerners. It feels like Pattaya is being taken over by a completely different market. And look, I'm not here to get political or judge where a man comes from. Money is money. But the economics of this town are shifting beneath our feet, and the Westerners who built this nightlife scene, they are upset. They feel pushed out, and you have to ask yourself the big question: why? Why did bar fines and enjoying a simple night out in Pattaya get so expensive? Why does a night on Soy 6 got so expensive? This city isn't what it used to be. The prices will continue to go up, as long as there is a market willing to pay it. That is the hard truth. I saw a comment from a guy named Totter recently that summed it up perfectly. He said the prices will continue to go up as long as there is a market willing to pay it. And he is right. It is basic economics. But is it sustainable? I don't think so. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The new rules. I remember when 70 baht was the standard price for a beer, not a happy hour special. You could just walk into a bar, have a laugh, maybe ring the bell if you were feeling flush, and it was simple. But now, with the baht remaining strong and prices creeping up every season, that easygoing vibe is dead. You spend more time thinking about the cost than the experience, and honestly, the fun is just gone. Think about the math on that for a second. You walk in, you like a girl, you want to take her out. In the old days, you paid the bar fine and off you went. Now, the mama-san steps in. The calculator comes out. Oh, sorry, handsome man. She needs 10 drinks before she can go. 10 drinks? What is she, a camel? And people are actually paying this? Well, apparently they are. And that is why we are in this mess. One comment summed it up better than I ever could. He said if the mugs and simps didn't play, the game would end. It is brutal, but it is true. We have a new breed of tourist here, the guys who come for 2 weeks, flush with cash, desperate for attention, and they throw money around like confetti. They don't care about the long-term residents. They don't care that they are destroying the market for everyone else. They just want the dopamine hit. They want to feel like a king for an hour. So the bar owners see this. They see a guy willing to drop 10,000 baht in a night without blinking. Why should I care about the regulars? Let's fleece the golden goose while it is still laying eggs. I saw a comment that caught my eye. He said he has seen this trend before, where prices were jacked across the board. People stopped going. He reckons the same could happen in Pattaya. And I have to admit, I see where he's coming from. You can't expect things to stay healthy if people feel overcharged or taken advantage of. Word spreads. Visitors talk. Even the guys who usually don't question prices eventually start to realize something doesn't feel right. It used to be a symbiotic relationship. The customer got value and a good time. The girl got paid. The bar made a profit. Everyone was happy. Now, it feels adversarial. It feels like a battle. You walk into a bar and you are not a guest. You are a target. You are a wallet with legs. To many longtime expats, it feels like a slow-motion heartbreak. The common complaint isn't aimed at any particular group. It's more about the overall pattern. People say they left high-cost cities in the West to escape expensive nights out, only to find similar price trends, creeping into a place that used to feel carefree and accessible. The frustration is real when someone sees prices that remind them of London or New York, but in a place where the day-to-day cost of living is very different, it creates a disconnect. Maybe the math looks good on paper, but as the empty stools and quiet bar counters show, The math changes fast when customers decide their budget has limits, and more people are quietly reaching that point. I look at the comments and I see a pattern, a word that keeps popping up. Vietnam. Philippines. Vietnam is the new hotspot. That was the message in one of the comments, and that opinion is not unique. Another commenter said he lives in the Philippines and has little interest in the girls in Pattaya. He mentioned that the food is still great, but everything else felt so expensive. His final line was simple: "Not again for me. This is the competition, and Pattaya is losing. Why would you come here and pay a 10-drink minimum, deal with the attitude, deal with the traffic, deal with the hassle, when you can go to Da Nang or Angeles City and get treated like a human being for half the price?" It is the cheap Charlie argument, isn't it? The bar owners love to throw that term around. Oh, if you complain about the price, you are just a cheap Charlie. Stay home if you can't afford it. That is gaslighting. Pure and simple. There is a difference between being cheap and knowing the value of money. Most of us who live here, we aren't broke. We have pensions, we have savings, we have businesses. But we didn't get to where we are by letting people reach into our pockets and steal our cash. We know what a beer costs. We know what the rent costs. We know when we are being ripped off. One commenter even mentioned that he is a millionaire, yet he won't be going now. He said he feels like an overcharged cash cow. He also talked about tightened visas, stricter borders, and extra rules, and how those things are exactly what he tries to escape from when he travels. It isn't about the ability to pay, it is about the principle. It is about the feeling of being respected as a customer. And the sadness. That is the other thing I feel when I read these comments. It isn't just anger. It is grief. People mourn the Pattaya that is gone. One comment said that in 20 years, the city has changed so much that the old feeling is gone. It is like watching an old friend get sick. You remember the good times. You remember the wild nights in the early 2000s, the freedom, the chaos, the sense that anything could happen. Now it feels corporate, sanitized, expensive, and hollow. Let's go back to the Indian demographic for a minute because this ties into the economics. You see the nightclubs on Walking Street changing. They aren't playing classic rock anymore. It is all heavy bass and Bollywood remixes. Why? Because that is who is walking through the door. One commenter made a very astute observation. He said the volume of Indian visitors has gone through the roof, and because of that shift, he stays away from Walking Street now. And look, business is business. If Indian tourists are filling the clubs, then the clubs will cater to them. But here's the rub. Do they drink? Do they bar fine? Do they support the ecosystem in the same way the Westerners did? From what I see, and from what the girls tell me, the answer is usually no. Bars are caught in a trap. They have alienated their old customer base, the Western expats and tourists, by jacking up prices. And the new customer base replacing them doesn't spend money in the same way. So what do? They squeeze the remaining Westerners even harder. Hence, the 10-drink minimum. Hence, the skyrocketing bar fines. It is a death spiral. They are trying to extract more revenue from a shrinking pool of customers. It is simple, really, but they don't seem to see it. They are blinded by the short-term cash they see on social media. They see the ballers on Instagram and think everyone has that kind of money. They don't realize that the bread and butter of Pattaya was always the regular guy. The guy who worked hard for 6 months in a factory in heavy industry, or an office in the UK, or Germany, or the States, saved up his cash, and came here to blow off steam. He isn't a millionaire. He is a working man. And you have priced him out. And don't get me started on the girls' attitudes. That has changed too. Another viewer wrote a long comment that really resonated with me. He has lived here since 2004. He remembers when girls played games and sat with you if you bought them a drink. Now, he says they're only interested in the drink. They sit with you a few minutes, then go back to working the room. He says pay more, get less. It is the phone culture. You walk into a bar now, and what do you see? A row of girls sitting on the stage, looking down at their screens. TikTok, Facebook, Line. They aren't looking at the customers. They aren't trying to make eye contact. They are waiting for their online boyfriend to send them money. You are an interruption to their screen time. And yet, they expect you to pay 1,000 baht bar fine and buy 10 drinks for the privilege of taking them away from their Candy Crush game? Give me a break. So where does this leave us? Is Pattaya dead? Others are voting with their feet. One digital nomad mentioned he left this year and will never go back. He said there is simply no value living there to justify the negatives. He listed the lack of legal protections, the road safety issues, and the bad air. But there are still some optimists, or maybe just realists who have adapted. One commenter said, "Pattaya is as expensive as you make it." He suggests only buying drinks for ladies who are coming home with you and negotiating. He says he will only pay 120 baht for drinks and a max 300 baht bar fine. Good luck with that, mate. I admire the optimism, but try telling a mama-san on Soy 6 today that you are only paying 300 baht. She will laugh you out of the bar, or set the security guards on you. But his point stands on a broader level. You can still survive here if you are smart. You get off the main drag. You go to the dark side. You go to Soy Buakau, although even that is getting pricey. That isn't the Pattaya that drew millions of men here for decades. That fantasy? That neon playground where $100 made you a king? That is gone, and it is not coming back. The exchange rates aren't helping, of course. The baht is strong, or the pound and dollar are weak, depending on how you look at it. But you can't blame the exchange rate for a bar owner deciding to charge 200 baht for a tequila shot that costs him 20 baht to pour. That is just greed. It is the little things. It is the accumulation of costs. It is the rent prices that seem to assume every foreigner is walking around with a bottomless bank account. It wears you down. It makes you cynical. The girls will have to realize that asking for 10 drinks means they go home alone every night. But that will take time. And in the meantime, Pattaya is in this weird limbo. There's a comment from a chiefful that broke my heart a little. He talked about the 80s, the US Navy ships arriving, the amusement, hanging around in bars, drinking beers with those guys. He said simply, gone, Pattaya as well. History is moving on. And maybe we are just dinosaurs, relics of a bygone era. Maybe the future of Pattaya is luxury malls and five-star hotels and Indian nightclubs. Maybe there is no place for the old-school expat and his beer cooler. Word of mouth used to be Pattaya's greatest asset. Guys would go home and tell their mates, "You have to go to Pattaya. It is paradise. It is cheap. The women are beautiful. The beer is cold." Now, they go home and say, "Don't bother. Go to Da Nang instead." I will still be here, probably. Too old to move again. Too stubborn to quit. I will find my little corner, my cheap bar, my quiet spot. But the Pattaya I loved, the Pattaya that was alive, that Pattaya is dead. What are your thoughts on this? Are you seeing the same things I am seeing? Or am I just a grumpy old man yelling at clouds? Are you still finding value here? Or have you moved your holiday money to Vietnam or the Philippines? Drop a comment below. I read them all, even the ones that call me a cheap Charlie. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.